everyone, my name is Natasha, and for those who don't know me, I'm an illustrator and author of the webcomic called Garden of Happiness. Today I'm gonna answer your questions that you've sent me on Instagram. Let's get started. I got a few similar questions about the inspiration. Where do I find the inspiration? Who inspires me? What inspires me? Well, for me, the main source of inspiration are people. I love people. I love being around people. Not all the time, but most of the times. My family inspires me. My friends inspire me. People I meet, and of course other illustrators and artists. I'm gonna show you quickly some of the artists I'm inspired by, and I'm gonna link them all in the description so you could check them out. The next question is, did you ever think about being a freelance illustrator? I can tell you that I was actually working as a freelance illustrator at some point of my life, but only for a few months. It was hard for me. It was very hard because I had like 2 or 3 clients, and of course they didn't have many projects for me, not every month. And finding new clients can take quite a lot of time, and it's hard to be without money all this time, so I prefer to have a full-time job. The next question is, when did you decide that you're about illustration and not architecture? That's the weird question. I never ever wanted to be an architect, to be honest. I don't know where did you get this information about me. I always wanted to be an artist, an illustrator, or a graphic designer. I was actually studying to be a graphic designer, but when I started to work in this field, I didn't really like it, so that's why I chose illustration instead. The next question is, which app do you use for your illustration? I use Procreate. Before I had an iPad, I was using my graphic tablet, and I was doing my illustrations in Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop. The next question. Hi, what inspired you to create the Garden of Happiness? You're cool as hell. Well, thank you. That's really nice of you. What inspired me to create Garden of Happiness? I'm not sure, to be honest. I remember at that time I was working as a game artist at a gaming company, and I was just surrounded by so many talented artists, and at that time I was a big fan of BTS. I still am, but not as active as before. And at that time they released a comic based on the story from the music videos they have, and they posted on Webtoon. Their company posted it on Webtoon. I didn't know about this website before. I never read any webcomics on that website before. And when I started browsing this website, I found out that there are so many cool webcomics that I can read. I was reading it non-stop. I could spend all day just reading different comics, and one day I just thought, oh, like why don't I make comic? I've never done this before, but I can try. Yeah, so that's how I made it. The story itself, I had it for a long time in my notes, but I never knew what to do with it, and finally I got a reason to use it. I got two similar questions, but they're kind of opposite. The first one is, where did you study art and for how long? And the other one is, why didn't you study at art school? The second person knows me better, I guess, and knows that I never attended an art school. I think I was in one, like, for a few days when I was in primary school, but we were at that time we were doing something from the paper, I don't know, some paper compositions. I don't know, I wasn't into it at all, so I just left and never came back. Now I kind of regret it because if I was studying in art school, it would be much easier for me to learn the basics. Instead, I was learning by myself with the internet, with books, and it was much harder. The next question: what's your favorite animated series? I love animation. I love animation so much. But if we're talking about series, I think one of my favorites is Cartoon Network's Over the Garden Wall. It was so good. I've watched it several times, and I love the story, I love the animating style, I love the visuals. It's really, really good. I really recommend it everyone to watch. And since when did you start drawing? Was there a person who inspired you? No, I don't think so. Me? I'm the person who inspired me? Is it weird to say? What does your process look like when you're working, and who are your top favorite artists? Okay, if we're talking about my job when I'm working, the process is different from when I create something by myself, like for myself. At work, of course, I have someone to work with, and I collect feedbacks, and I make sketches and collect feedbacks again, and it's a longer process. But when I make something for myself, or like comic for you, the process is different. It's more like a spontaneous. It's something that just comes to my mind, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it, making some sketches, and then making the art itself, and then make some corrections in it until I'm fully satisfied with it. The next question: what it is that you wanted to draw for the long time, but always save it for later? I'm not sure how to answer this question. Actually, I have this issue with the backgrounds of my illustrations, so I want to work more on the background. I want to know how to draw architecture or nature properly. If you notice, my illustrations don't really have that complicated backgrounds, and I want it to be more complicated. So this is what I save for later all the time. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it very slowly. It's a very slow process for me. Yeah. Okay, there are some questions you've sent me on my DMs. Okay, the first question from my DMs is, I think you're really good at character design and keeping consistency when it comes to their personality, style, moods. I would like to hear more about your work process when it comes to this. For example, speaking about the webtoon, do you first create prototype mood boards with all the facial expressions, outfits, different angles for every new character, or you design them as you go? It depends on my mood, I guess, and of my laziness. Most of the times I don't really make this different outfits, different angles and all this stuff. I just have the idea of how the frame should look like, and then I just draw as it goes. Yeah, I think it's my laziness. I don't do a lot of work when it comes to this. Okay, and the last question for today is, do you like the job position you have now, or maybe there is a dream one that you aspire to? I'm fully satisfied with my current job. It's very creative, it's very interesting. I love it so much, and I really enjoy every day working in there. I don't think I have a dream job right now. I think my main job, my current job, is kind of a dream job for me. So yeah, I'm living my dream. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it wasn't too awkward. It was probably very cringy. Bye!